Hey, good morning, 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Hope you're doing well today. Yeah, the lighting in here is a little off, and I'm scruffed up, and it's our, I don't know, 798th episode or something like that. It's pretty big. Um, Betty's here at the house. I figured I want to do a show. And if you want to give me back feedback because I'm all scruffy, my hair is all out of place, it's freezing cold out there. And my wife got to enjoy staying here with the dog on the couch. And having to take her out every couple hours to go to the potty and stuff like that. So she's on meds. We'll see if she does. I don't know. We'll know Tuesday what the decision will be based on what her blood work will be on Tuesday and how she's doing. It could be a miracle. Never know. I'm always hopeful for a miracle. Anyway, kind of depressing on that conversation. The happy note is that she's home. She's here. She's comfortable. I think she's happy being home with her family and friends. Just like what we talk about our mission, get home to your family and friends. It's a much happier place sometimes. Well, it could be toxic. I know some people have some toxic families. But anyway, what do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about feedback. Tell a little story. I don't know if people should be in Agile if they can't handle feedback. However, by using Scrum and shorter iterations, sooner or later you get used to feedback and thing. We talk about businesses getting out there, and it's a good thing to get lots of trials because when it happens, you know how to deal with it, you accept it, or you move on. You don't have to take feedback. I mean, you don't have to do anything about it. I'm saying you should accept it, but doesn't mean you have to do something about it. But we'll talk about the feedback loop and whether or not your organization and yourself, should you be a Scrum Master? Should be you an Agile coach? Should you be an Agile? If you can't handle feedback, I don't think you should be a Scrum Master, and I don't think you should be an Agile coach. And I said it's a part of the business, right? So let's talk about that in a bit. So 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. Here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a practical and tactical way, and tell some stories and work in a way where you bring value to the customer. And that's part of that feedback loop. You don't know if you're giving value to the customer. You assume until you do. And get you home to family and friends because we don't want you to work crazy hours to deliver that product. The more product you deliver, money you make, right? So let's talk about that. So the other day, talking to the nurse on the phone, and my wife was there, and the nurse was saying how, oh, your dog is so pretty. It's a great dog. She's so happy. She wigging her tail. She looks like she's happy and everything like that. Or she was, it's like way overdoing and how nice our dog was. And has a great dog. And like we like, my wife's like, I know it's a great dog. We got to decide whether or not we're putting the dog down. And I know what the nurse was doing. The nurse was trying to be positive when you're in a hospital environment. You want to be positive with the customer and stuff like that. But there's a time to be overly positive and more realistic. This is a more realistic time. And the other day, when I went to drop Betty off on Friday, this is kind of why I didn't do a show. I was taking her there and lots of things. There's lots of things going on in my house right now. But you should always do your daily scrum. But sometimes you got to take it off. And that's something I coach people, by the way. Things come up, it's okay to move it and shift it a day. And that's why I do the show every day. I want people to know that you can do this stuff every day. It doesn't take that much. And that's part of why I do it every day. And that's part of why we have so many shows. And there's times to take off when you just relax and step away. So I gave feedback. I says, I don't know who the nurse was. I said, I appreciate give you a little feedback. It's like, being way positive and the dog can get put down. I'm like, it's a little over the top. I said, don't the nurses read the sheets? Isn't there a comment on the sheets? I don't think there is a comment in notes because they sent me notes yesterday where the dog could be potentially put down, right? That we don't know if her red blood cells don't come up, and it's a humane thing, because there's just going to be a pain. There's no oxygen coming to the body, and everything just falls apart. Hopefully, these meds will help take care of that. Maybe it's something we have no idea what it is. There's no tumors, no nothing. So I just gave that feedback. I said, would have been good. It's just say, just give feedback, and she's like, oh no. Because my wife was crying. And I'm like, well, maybe just say the dog's comfortable, right? That's a legitimate feedback mechanism. Dog's comfortable. She's sleeping. She's in relatively content, right? So that gives the dog's fine right now. She's not in distress without giving the oh, it's an awesome dog and everything like that. In the meanwhile, your spouse or your partner or whoever's there with you who really loves the other one's like, I know, and I got to make a decision. I'm going to lose my dog, and it's very disheartening. So I gave that feedback. I don't think they took it very well. And I was trying to be honest, and I'm not like, you guys are terrible. I had nothing like that. I just gave feedback. It's like, when you're in this condition, maybe not be so positive how great the dog is, right? Because when you have to you got to separate yourself. To be honest with you, you're emotionally separated, and I have to pull the trigger. And the doctor's like, come back to me. She's like, well, the conversation, I had the conversation. Well, that's something that I would talk to you, not with that. I'm thinking to myself, don't you have conversation with your nurses to say what the condition of, and this is communication. We can do a whole thing on this. Maybe I'll do another later on about communication. And I said, maybe you just put a little icon on your chart or stamp or something that says, hey, there's a potential the dog's going to go down. I would do that. So now this is like software. So it's all software based. The notes are all software based. There's probably no hardcore notes anywhere. But I would put a tag somewhere or a sticky just to let people know that the dog could potentially go in cardiac, because we put no resuscitate, could pass, and we may have to make a decision. Just to let people know that don't get so positive. They act like I was the evil person. I'm like, no, I'm just giving you constructive feedback. So when the next customer comes along, this is what I do every day. People don't get it. In the Agile world, you're always getting feedback, and we always do this, and it makes us a better organization, right? Because when you do that to your customer, they're not going to want to come back and use you again. And I've been there a few times because I had Cookie, ate stuff. God forbid Cookie. Betty ate chocolate twice, so we had to get her stomach. So we've been there a few times, and I love the place because they're there, they're open, they're close. It's a perfect place if you have dogs where I live. Apparently they eat everything, but to give that feedback. And this is where I was thinking. I was reflecting on a lot of the organizations I coach, a lot of people I coach. And then we can do a whole conflict averse thing, because there's a whole nother conflict averse. Someone brought that up again. Reminds me of an old company I work for, and they told me they were. So feedback is conflict. It should be good feedback. I mean, it should be good conflict. There is such thing as good conflict. If you do not get through the conflict and able to handle that bit of conflict, you will never become an Agile organization. You're going to maybe become a better organized organization, but you're never going to be a real Agile organization, because conflict, good conflict, not evil, like you suck, that's bad, or you want to fight, that's bad conflict. Good conflict is, hey, I disagree with what you said. I think we could do it a different way. Let's talk about it. And you're like, okay, you disagree. Let's talk about it. That's good conflict. And if you can't do that, definitely don't be a Scrum Master. Definitely don't be an Agile coach. And I don't know if your organization should try to do Agile. Because if you can't have that feedback and you're worried about perfection and you work so hard for perfection, oh my God, I can do so many shows on this topic alone. Maybe I need to write a book. That alone triggers a lot of stuff. What I love about Scrum is that it gets you used to feedback loops. It gets you used to conflict, good conflict, and it helps you figure out how not to give bad conflict. Because the more times you do it, think about it. Sprint planning, there's a little bit of conflict with what the business wants and what the team wants from a technology. There's conflict there. Daily Scrum. Hopefully not so much conflict, but if someone says there's a bug or I found an issue or I need help or I'm stuck, there's internal conflict when you ask for help. Review. There is conflict there. No, I don't know what that means. You're just putting goobers up there. Type regular. I don't know. I don't know what she wrote. Someone wrote a comment on there. But anyway, so there's conflict in there. What is it, right? What there is conflict in that review. I mean, there's conflict between or feedback loop, right? The customer is going to give you feedback on what you work so hard to present. But it's good because you need that feedback because you want to put out something that people are going to use. And they may say, oh, wow, you did exactly what I said, but that's not what I really wanted. So I kind of want this and twist it around. And you're like, oh, my God. But at least that's good conflict. And in the retrospective, there's conflict in there, too. You can't just have a loosey-goosey, feel nicely, goody, two-shoe, non-conflict related feedback in the retrospective. It doesn't do any good, right? So, but that's what it's all about, conflict. And it happens every sprint, every iteration. You learn how to provide conflict and survive through conflict, provide feedback. If your organization can't do feedback and conflict, you can use Scrum to help you get better at it. But if you just can't handle it and just admit it that you can't handle any feedback, then maybe you should really not be an agile organization. Now, I'm not saying you have to do what they say. Like you can tell me I should be shaved and I should do. There's sometimes when I do these live shows, it is what it is, you know. Lots of things going on, stress, but at least to do the show up and do the business. So just think about that. I wanted to share that out with you, and maybe you should challenge. Think about the conflict, working on good conflict, getting feedback, right? You have to be able to give feedback. You need to practice with your team on getting them feedback, and you need to do it a lot so they get used to it and they figure out how to deal with that feedback, how to deal with that little bit of conflict that's going on so they can perform and get better. And I just want to reflect on what that is, try to give some honest feedback. They didn't take it too well. And the lesson's like, okay, is there a better way of giving feedback? But needed the feedback. Because in the long run, I think from an organization or company, that little bit of feedback would be helpful. I am going to put a comment in there. People are like, oh, don't, you'll hurt their feelings. I'm sorry. Sometimes you need feedback. Like when my kids are bad. Like, why did you just do that? Well, no. Well, then don't do it. It's feedback. I got to be honest with my kids when they do stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like poor Betty was puking this morning. I'm like, what's going on? She's puking. Well, where? I'm like, poor baby. She ate some grass or dirt and just wasn't fitting well with her. Anyway, I want to wish you a good day, hopefully a happy day. Enjoy some time with your family and friends. I wish you all the best, healthy. Pray for Betty if you don't mind. Appreciate that. And stay good. I'm gonna do these shows on a Tuesday and a Thursday. They're coming. Maybe I'll practice some stuff today or tonight or during the day while I'm stuck here with Betty and keeping her company. I can sit here and do this show. Sorry, the lighting's not that great. Sorry, I'm all scruffed up and I'm not dressed nicely, but it's reality, right? So, wish you the best. Happy scrumming and see you soon. And bless you all. Thank you. Bye.